Many people think the fastest jet always wins a dogfight. Well, it's a simple notion, one that feels right on the surface. You see it in movies, you hear it in barstool arguments. Be faster, get behind the other guy, and the fight is over. This is the common belief, the myth of absolute speed. It's an easy line to sell because it reduces the violent, chaotic art of air combat to a simple number on a spec sheet. But the truth, as it always is in the cockpit, is far more complex and unforgiving. Speed is a vital tool, a currency of survival, but it does not, by itself, guarantee victory. The reality is that a dogfight is a brutal game of three-dimensional chess, played at hundreds of miles per hour. Speed is just one piece on the board. A fighter pilot must balance this asset against maneuverability, altitude, weaponry, and the ever-present limitations of his own mind and body. Relying solely on speed is a rookie mistake, a path that has led many overconfident aviators to a fiery end. The sky does not reward the one-trick pony. It rewards the pilot who understands the intricate dance between raw power and tactical finesse. This is the fundamental truth we must grasp. This deep dive is not about glorifying one attribute over another, it is about understanding the relationship between them. We will dismantle the myth piece by piece, why speed is critical, where it can betray you, and how it fits into the larger puzzle of aerial combat, from the turning fights of World War II to the beyond visual range engagements of the modern era. The pilot who best manages their energy and employs the superior tactic is the one who lives to fly another day. Speed is part of that equation, but it is never the entire answer. So, let's discard the simple idea that the fastest jet wins. Instead, we will explore the nuanced, dynamic truth of what it takes to dominate the aerial arena. We will look at the aircraft, the physics, and the human element that all converge in that critical moment of combat. The goal is to move beyond the myth and into the practical, hard-won knowledge that keeps fighter pilots alive. This is not a theoretical exercise. For those who strap into a jet, it is a matter of life and death. The truth is not simple, but it is essential. Before we can dissect the complex dynamics of a dogfight, we must first speak the same language. These are not just abstract concepts. They are the fundamental elements a pilot manipulates to survive and win. First, let's define speed. Speed, how fast an aircraft moves through the air, measured in knots or Mach. In combat, speed is more than velocity. It's a component of energy. Energy, the aircraft's total capacity to perform work. Kinetic energy from speed, potential energy from altitude. Next, maneuverability. Maneuverability, how well an aircraft changes direction and attitude. Key KPI, turn rate. Key KPI, turn radius. Turn rate, degrees per second, how fast the heading changes. Turn radius, size of the circle during a turn at a given g and speed. A smaller turn radius is called a tighter turn. Maneuverability is pointing your jet where you need it, faster than your opponent. Climb and angle. High rate of climb. Gains altitude quickly, converting speed and thrust into potential energy. This is a vertical maneuver. Angles, the geometry of the fight. Angle off, or aspect angle, is the angle between your aircraft's nose and the enemy's. Gaining an angle's advantage means positioning your jet so you can employ weapons while the enemy cannot. That's the immediate goal of most close-in maneuvering. Dogfight, close-range aerial combat within visual range, tactical maneuvering to achieve a kill. This is distinct from beyond visual range combat, which relies on long-range missiles and radar. In a dogfight, the pilot tries to enter the enemy control zone, usually behind them, to employ guns or short-range heat-seeking missiles. Understanding these terms is the first step. They are the building blocks of every decision in the heat of battle. In the world of air combat, there is a sacred mantra: energy is life. Speed is the most direct and tangible form of that energy. A fast airplane holds a significant advantage because it possesses a wealth of options. With high energy, a pilot dictates the terms of the engagement. He can choose to fight, or he can choose to disengage. If the tactical situation turns unfavorable, a superior top speed allows a pilot to extend, put distance between himself and the threat, and live to re-engage on his own terms. This ability to control the range is a powerful defensive and offensive tool. Offensively, speed translates directly into maneuver potential. An aircraft with a high energy state can convert its velocity into a rapid climb, trading speed for altitude to gain a positional advantage. It can execute sudden high-G maneuvers to close on a target or to evade a threat without bleeding off all its momentum. Think of energy as money in the bank. You can spend it on a turn, a climb, or an escape. A pilot who starts a fight with more energy has more money to spend than his opponent, giving him a critical edge from the outset. Speed is also a crucial factor in weapons employment. For modern, medium-range air-to-air missiles, the kinematic performance of the launch platform is paramount. Launching a missile at high speed and high altitude significantly increases its no-escape zone, the range at which a target cannot kinematically defeat the missile. The energy of the launch aircraft is imparted to the missile, giving it more fuel to maneuver during its terminal phase. While speed is a powerful asset, it can quickly become a dangerous liability, especially in a close-in, visual-range fight. The fundamental physics of flight dictate that for any given G-load, a faster aircraft will have a much larger turn radius. This means it carves a wider circle in the sky. If you are engaged in a turning fight with a more agile, slower opponent, your high speed will prevent you from turning inside of them. You will find yourself flying a massive arc while they cut across the circle, bringing their nose to bear on your vulnerable tail. This problem is often called overshooting. If you approach a slower-moving target with too much closure speed, you risk flying right past them before you can achieve a firing solution. This is especially true for gun engagements, which require you to get close and stabilize behind the target. A high-speed pass might feel aggressive, but it often results in you flying out in front of your adversary, transitioning from the hunter to the hunted in a matter of seconds. In a knife fight, you don't want to be the guy who runs past his opponent with his blade extended. Excessive speed can also lead to a critical loss of situational awareness. At Mach 1.5, the world outside the cockpit is a blur. Your brain has significantly less time to process information, identify threats, and make sound tactical decisions. This tunnel vision effect can cause you to miss a secondary threat, misjudge a maneuver, or fail to see your wingman's position. A pilot must be able to think, look, and assess. Flying at the absolute limit of the aircraft's speed envelope can saturate the pilot's cognitive capacity, leading to fatal errors in judgment. Finally, every aircraft has a structural and aerodynamic performance envelope. Pushing an airframe to its maximum speed, especially at low altitude, puts immense stress on the wings, fuselage, and control surfaces. Exceeding these limits can lead to catastrophic structural failure. Furthermore, certain maneuvers are simply not possible or are highly inefficient at very high speeds. A wise pilot knows that flying at 10/10ths is rarely the optimal solution. The smart play is often to moderate speed to preserve maneuverability and maintain tactical flexibility, keeping the aircraft within its most effective performance window. To truly understand the trade-offs between speed and turning, we must turn to Colonel John Boyd and his energy maneuverability theory. Developed in the 1960s, this concept revolutionized the way fighter pilots and aircraft designers thought about air combat. EM theory provides a mathematical and graphical way to analyze an aircraft's performance, tying together speed, altitude, thrust, weight, turn capability. It moves beyond simply asking, how fast can it go? And instead asks, what can it do at a given speed and altitude? How quickly can it change its energy state? The core of the theory is represented by EM diagrams, often called doghouse plots. These charts map out an aircraft's performance across its entire flight envelope. For any given altitude, the plot shows the aircraft's turn rate and turn radius at different speeds. It also shows zones of excess power, where the engine produces more thrust than is needed to maintain level flight. This excess power is what allows a pilot to climb, accelerate, sustain a high G turn without losing energy. A fighter with a large area of excess power is a formidable opponent. Using these diagrams, a pilot can compare his aircraft's performance against a potential adversary's. He can identify the speeds and altitudes where he has a turn rate advantage and where the enemy has the edge. For example, his F-16 might have a superior sustained turn rate against a MiG-29 at 15,000 feet between Mach 0.7 and 0.9. This knowledge is tactical gold. It tells the pilot to force the fight into that specific performance window where he can win a prolonged turning engagement. Conversely, it tells him which parts of the envelope to avoid. EM theory teaches that a dogfight is a dynamic energy exchange. A good pilot is constantly managing this exchange, trading speed for altitude or altitude for speed, to gain a positional advantage. The goal is to drive the opponent into a low-energy state, where he has no speed, no altitude, and therefore no options. A pilot who is out of ideas is a pilot who has mismanaged his energy. Boyd's theory provided the intellectual framework for this style of fighting, emphasizing that victory belongs to the pilot who can transition between energy states more efficiently than his opponent. The tension between speed and maneuverability, not just a pilot's dilemma, a fundamental challenge for aircraft designers. Every fighter jet is a collection of compromises, a balance of competing requirements. An aircraft optimized purely for speed, an interceptor, will look very different from one designed for close-in agility. Side-by-side comparison: MiG-31, thin-swept wings, versus Su-27, blended wings. Thrust-to-weight ratio. Wing loading, wing-shaped flight control systems. Thrust-to-weight ratio drives energy. Greater than 1-to-1 thrust means engines produce more thrust than the aircraft weighs. That allows acceleration straight up. Exceptional climb and quick energy recovery after hard maneuvers. High-thrust engines, JAC or high-energy fighters. Wing loading, weight divided by wing area, controls turning ability. Lower wing loading, JAC and tighter, sustained turns. Larger wing, JAC, more lift. Wing shape is a key trade-off. Long, thin, sharply swept wings. F-104 Starfighter example. MiG-25 Foxbat example. Those wings minimize supersonic drag but handle poorly in slow, high-G turns. Conversely, larger, broader wings with leading-edge devices generate immense lift but add drag and limit top speed. Modern designs like F-16, F/A-18 use blended bodies and moderate sweep to balance speed and agility. Mission defines design. Interceptors prioritize speed and altitude. Multi-role fighters need a balanced approach for BVR and dogfights. Fly-by-wire and thrust vectoring have blurred the lines. F-22 Raptor example with thrust vectoring. Su-35 flanker example with super maneuverability. These modern designs aim for the best of both worlds. Extreme agility when needed with raw speed and power. So, these are the trade-offs designers wrestle with when building a winning fighter. History provides the ultimate classroom for understanding the dynamic between speed and maneuver. In World War II, this contrast was stark. The Japanese A6M-0 was renowned for its phenomenal agility. It could outturn almost any Allied fighter. However, it was lightly built and couldn't dive well. P-47 Thunderbolt F-6F Hellcat refusal of turning fight. They used superior speed and energy retention, high-speed diving attacks. Boom and zoom fire, then climb away. The Korean War saw the dawn of the jet age, and the lessons evolved. F-86 Sabre MiG-15 were closely matched. The MiG-15 had a better climb rate and a higher service ceiling, giving it an energy advantage in the vertical plane. The F-86, however, was a better gun platform and could outturn and outroll the MiG at lower altitudes. The successful Sabre pilots were those who understood this relationship. They would try to lure the MiGs down into a turning fight where the F-86 excelled while avoiding a high-altitude vertical contest. The Vietnam War was a wake-up call for the United States Air Force and Navy. They had entered the conflict with a focus on high-speed interceptors like the F-4 Phantom II, which were designed to fire missiles from a distance and lacked an internal gun in early models. MiG-17, MiG-21. They were pitted against smaller, more nimble North Vietnamese MiGs like these. While the Phantom had a massive advantage in speed and power, the close-in rules of engagement often forced it into turning fights where the agile MiGs could be deadly. This experience led directly to the creation of the Top Gun School and a renewed emphasis on dogfighting skills and more agile aircraft designs like the F-16. Modern conflicts have seen a shift toward beyond visual range engagements, but the core principles remain. In training exercises like red flag pilots flying 4th and 5th generation jets still practice basic fighter maneuvers. They learn that even with stealth and advanced missiles, a fight can devolve into a visual range merge. In those moments, the lessons of the A6M0, the F-86 Sabre, and the F-4 Phantom II still apply. The pilot who understands his aircraft's strengths, exploits the enemy's weaknesses, and masterfully manages his energy is the one who will triumph. History's lesson is clear. Balance and tactics beat a singular focus on any one attribute. While the principles of energy and maneuverability are timeless, modern technology has profoundly reshaped the aerial battlefield. The biggest game changer has been the evolution of sensors and long-range weapons. Today's fighter pilot is not just flying an aircraft, he is managing a complex system of systems. The primary sensor, the radar, allows a pilot to detect targets from over 100 miles away. It also allows a pilot to track targets from over 100 miles away, and to identify targets from over 100 miles away. That information, fused with data from other platforms and with onboard sensors, creates a comprehensive picture of the battle space long before the enemy is a speck in the sky. This look-first, shoot-first capability has made beyond visual range combat the preferred method of engagement. Advanced medium-range missiles like the AIM-120 AMRAAM can be guided by radar to targets tens of miles away. In this arena, raw speed remains critically important, not for turning, but for imparting maximum kinematic energy to the missile at launch. A fighter launching from high and fast dramatically increases the missile's range and the missile's probability of kill. Speed is also essential for the defensive phase of BVR combat, the crank, where a pilot turns away after firing to defeat the enemy's missile. Stealth technology is another revolutionary factor. F-22 Raptor,